Those who knew Greg Page call him a trailblazer.
Seeing the way the game of football has changed and all athletics has changed, it is just really remarkable that he was a pioneer doing that.
60 years ago, this block of Worcester Avenue from 26th Street to 27th Street was fully occupied by African-American families. Greg Page and his family lived at the corner of Worcester and 26th.
The road was unpaved, and we would get out there and play baseball, football with our white friends.
The school system, however, was still segregated until 1964.
And from my perspective, it was, why didn't this happen sooner? This is just the way it should be. And I think that sentiment was shared by most everyone.
After a brilliant high school career at Middlesboro, Page signed to play at the University of Kentucky. He and his eventual college roommate Nate Northington from Louisville became the first black players to ever sign with an SEC school.
He welcomed the challenge, but I always felt like he wanted to be an athlete. And then this extra recognition that came with being one of the first black athletes in the South. Yeah, he took that on, but I don't think that's what he was after.
This was during a time when freshmen were still ineligible to play varsity college football, but Page did play on the Cats freshman team and not only played, but led the team in tackles.
He was just driven. He had that fire in his belly. Most people around the area at the time believed that Greg would have been one of the athletes playing on Sunday afternoon.
But in 1967, just a month before he would suit up for his first varsity game, tragedy blindsided Page when he was injured during a drill at practice. Kentucky's athletic spokesman at the time told a local newspaper it was a freak accident. Greg Page was paralyzed from the neck down and hospitalized for 38 days.
On 9/28, my mother called, and I spoke to her, and she said that Greg's not doing good.
On September 29, 1967, Greg Page died at the age of 19.
Sadness and disappointment. There was so much hope and promise.
One day later, Kentucky would play Ole Miss, and that's when Page's roommate and best friend became the first black player to play at Kentucky. But for Northington, stepping on the field was a solitary moment.
Nate left the team during the '67 football season after Greg died. He had a hard time dealing with losing his best friend.
He was a pallbearer at Page's funeral. What some say to this day was one of the most highly attended funerals ever in Middlesboro.
His death jailed not only a little community with Middlesboro, Kentucky, but also the state of Kentucky and probably the United States.
The story of one man's passion that opened a door for thousands of others. Greg Page is not alive to tell that story, but on Friday nights in the fall, his legacy still shines bright. In Bradner Stadium, Caleb Noe, WYMT Mountain News.